awful thankful this morning. Started feeling kind of lousy last night. Woke up and didn't feel a whole lot better. But you just pray for me. I'll speak just a couple words and let either Brandon or Shad come.
We'll let Shad come.
But you know, I was thinking this morning when I was driving out. We are so, everything about us, myself, and our very nature is so contrary
Yes, it is.
to the things of God.
Yeah. It's a warfare. It's always a warfare.
And it's not whether or not you choose to be contrary, you are contrary. Our very nature. And that's the way it was set up. In this world, in society, and the way that it's heading, just makes it that much more difficult for men and women to get to know the Lord and to get salvation. And you know, this world wants to put so many things in front of you. We put so many things in front of ourselves that pull us away from God. Whether it's, you know, if I spend as much time praying and reading the Bible as I did watching a football game or watching TV, then there's no doubt in my mind that it'd be a little easier to get through the week.
That's right. It would.
Yeah. But we're so weak.
I agree.
We're such weak creatures that we take every little thing that we can to try to fill the void that only God can fill, that only the Spirit can fill. And it's not just the lost men and women that are that way, I'm that way.
Yes, we are.
Seems like when I get towards the end of the week and work has got me stressed to the nines and we got soccer games and Brandy's got to work now and
all these distractions.
So many distractions that I get so weak and so down that if I would just pray, if I would just turn it over to the Lord and say, God, I need you.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that I'm like this, but that's always the last thing that I do. So don't think just because that I'm up here trying to preach that I'm any different from anyone else in this world, because I'm not. The only good thing about me is that when I was 18 years old, I gave up trying to do things on my own. And I turned it over to the Lord. And you know, I had it on my mind this morning about Jesus when he was talking to him there, and he put it to him in a parable. And he says, a certain man, he made a great supper, and he bade many to come to this feast.
Yeah.
And he sent his servant out all across the country side.
It was a free feast, wasn't it?
It was a free gift.
Yeah.
And he sent his servant out to go and tell everyone to come, to eat and to partake.
The resident.
For things were now ready, it says. And they all with one consent began to make excuse.
Yeah.
The first said unto him, I bought a piece of ground, and I need to go and see to it. I pray thee, have me excused. And another one said, I bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I need to go and prove them. I pray thee, have me excused. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And another one said, I've married a wife, and I therefore cannot come. Yeah. And so the servant came back, and no doubt he was afraid to tell his master that everyone had rejected this gift that he was giving them.
Yeah.
And so the servant came to his Lord, the master of the house, and he began to get a little angry, and he said, okay, this time you go out into the streets here and you find the poor.
Yeah. Strangers.
You find the strangers, you find the lame and the blind.
Yeah.
And you tell them to come and partake of this feast.
Yeah. I'm thinking about
You know
that.
what? That's just how we're on this
Yes, we
morning.
are.
That's my Lord's feast.
That's right.
Listen, when He come down, it is a free gift.
Yes, it
Salvation is a gift this morning.
His own
The
rejected.
people, and we're rejecting them every day.
Yeah.
But listen, if you come out here, listen, and you don't come praying,
right.
people, and you don't come seeking
Yes, Lord.
a blessing
Forgive us,
from my Lord, then you know what? You are rejecting that gift this morning. Listen, and he doesn't stop there. You know what? He said, go out and you get me the blind and the poor and you bring them in. And the servant looked at him and said, Lord, it is done as thou hast commanded. And yet there is still room at this feast
Yes, there is.
for more people this
Go
morning. You know
Go
what?
further, yeah.
There's still room at my Lord's table.
That's right.
Listen, what kind of excuse have you got this morning? Do you make the excuse? Well, I sin all the time. Listen, do you make the excuse? Well, I do this bad thing. I can't come. Listen, I do this. People, don't you know you're looking at nothing but a sinner. I don't care what you do. Listen, sin is sin, people, and I'm no better than anyone. Listen, but listen. And the Lord said, go out into the highways and the hedges and compel them to come that my house may be filled. Listen, for I say unto you that none of those men which were bidden and didn't come are going to taste of my supper. People, you make those excuses until the day, listen, comes. When opportunity leaves you, listen, you know what? You're not going to taste of that a good supper. And listen, and you know, and then Jesus went on, and there were great multitudes with him, it said, that turned and left. And he looked at him and he said, and he spoke a hard thing to him. He said, if any man come to me and hate not his mother and his father and his wife and his children, ye in his own life, he cannot be my disciple.
Yeah.
And you know, I read that as a young man, and that troubled me a little bit. How could I ever hate my mother and father, my brothers, my sisters? Now listen, And you know what I found when I was 18 years old? Listen, and condemnation had set in me. Listen, and nothing that this world had to offer me could fill that emptiness. People, I began to hate my own life. Listen, because you know what? I was so tired of trying to fill that void with so much sin. Listen, that when I got down on my knees, listen, and said, Lord, come and take this away from me. Listen, I found life, and I found that I love my brethren. I love, listen, my mother and father was filled with so much love. Listen, and you know what? It says, whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Listen, if you're lost, listen, and you don't know my Lord in pardon and remission, you better bear that cross. Listen, you better march it up Calvary and lay her down at the foot of Jesus. And he went on and he said, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether ye have sufficient to finish it? Lest haply after he hath laid the foundation, and is not able to finish it all that behold it begin to mock him. There is a great cost. Aren't you thankful this morning that my Lord didn't go halfway?
That's right. That's right.
Aren't you thankful, like Dad was saying, was preaching to you, when he was hanging on that cross? Oh, don't you know, people, all it would have taken was just one word. One word for God to put a stop to it and say enough. You know, but he was looking way down the road. He was looking at a lost 18-year-old boy. People, he knew that I was, listen, that I was going to need him. Listen, and so just like that thief that was hanging there, when he looked at the soldiers that were killing him, listen, and he told them, he said, I thirst. People, I'm talking about a man that went 40 days and 40 nights without a drop of water or a bite to eat. Listen, he wasn't talking about thirsting for a natural drink. He was talking about that thief hanging there saying, I still got work to do. That's what he was thirsty for. And you know, when I started getting down last night when I was feeling bad, you know, the first thought in my mind was, well, I'm just going to sleep in tomorrow. Brandy's not here. It's too much work, too much trouble on me to get up and get the kids ready. It would have been easy. That's right. And you know, started getting down, and work about killed me this week, and I just wanted to cry last night when I was sitting there in my room by myself. And this is how God works. Listen, you know, I was hanging my head in my own self-misery, and it was late and all the girls were in bed. And I heard a little pitter-patter of feet come running. And it was Olivia. And she come running up to me while I was sitting there on the couch, and she crawled up in my lap. Listen, and she hugged me, and she gave me a kiss on the cheek. Listen, and my mind immediately went back 3 years ago to that little hospital room. Listen, when I almost lost her. People, how good God is. I don't have any excuse not to try to get up and come out. You know what? And I've never told anyone this before, and I don't know why it's on my mind. Listen, but when we was in that little hospital room, people, and you know what? The chaos began, and Brandy quit breathing, and Olivia, her heart quit beating. Listen, you know what? You know my past and the trouble that I was in and caused, and I've always been waiting for me to get what I deserve. Listen, I felt that way my whole life.
It don't work that way.
One of these days, surely I'm gonna get what I deserve. Listen, and you know what? When she quit breathing there, the first thing I thought of was, now I'm getting what I deserve. This is what I've earned. But I didn't even get that thought in my mind when I heard that heart monitor starting to beating again. How good my Lord is.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't get what we deserve.
That's the beauty of this.
Get mercy and love.
That's the beauty of this salvation. That's the beauty of my Lord. It doesn't matter what you've done.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how much trouble you've caused.
Today is the day of salvation.
I'm talking about a thief and a murderer that was hanging there with him, was being crucified right next to him. And his last breath, he looked at the Lord and said, "Remember me."
Yeah.
And Jesus looked at him and said, "This day, you're going to be with me in paradise." That's the kind of God we serve. I'm so thankful that we don't get what we deserve.
Yeah, me too.
And you know, last weekend, my Aunt Tammy and her, I believe it's her youngest or middle, Jordan, stayed with us there, and he's 18 years old. And I haven't really got to talk to him much, but when we left here that Saturday night, and I rode with him, it was just me and him in his car, and we went home.
Yeah.
And we got to talking there, and I don't know why it set upon me, but I asked him, I said, "Bob, do you ever try to pray?"
Yeah.
And you know, he got real quiet there.
Yeah.
And he was quiet for a long time, and I looked at him and he was crying.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I try to pray sometimes."
Yeah.
Listen, and I started preaching to him right there in the car. Listen, I've never done anything like that. But you know, I went in to that story about Olivia, you know, and just explaining to him that my God is a God of love today. He's a God of mercy. And all He's waiting for you to do is just to call on Him and say, "I've made a mess of things. I need you to straighten them out."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Sunday, the next day at church, and I was sitting up here and I was watching him, and he cried all through church.
Yeah.
And that set all over me. It won't be long. I truly believe it won't be long until we're walking him out into the water.
Yeah, baptizing him.
I know I've been all over the place.
It's all right, don't mind.
I don't know why. Sometimes we make things more difficult trying to prepare a sermon and have everything all figured out.
It just don't work that way, does it?
You know, I'll tell this and I'll shut up. I was thinking about it the other day, Dad, when we were living in Kentucky, I guess it was, and Sister Patty's husband, Cotton, came on my mind. And you know, he was an older man when he come and joined. And I don't even know if he knew he had cancer at the time that he joined.
Keep them bad, man.
But I know he was sick because when he found out that he had it, he was in stage 4. And it was gone like that. But you know, I'll never forget the day that he joined. He was awful feeble, and in the wind-up of the service, and he got up and he limped his way up here to the podium and just kind of threw himself down on top of it. And I thought it was so pretty watching him do that. And, you know, it wasn't long later that cancer had set up in him, and I was working at the hospital there in Pikeville when he was in it, and I got to know that little family pretty good. And you know, I remember one of them coming out, coming out from the room and walking up to me and saying, the doctors are saying that the cancer is spread all through him, and the x-ray, it looks like a hand that's got a hold of his organs. The cancer looked just like that. And I remember thinking, Dad, if them doctors had the eyes of Elisha that Dad was talking about, they'd have seen 2 other hands on his heart. People, my Lord was holding him. Listen, and it wasn't long later that we buried him and preached his funeral. But not before we got to baptize a few others in his family.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that we have that comforter. I just don't know how this world can do it without him. I don't know how anyone can try to raise a family with the troubles and the worries of this world without my Lord. I need him. I love each and every one of you. Come on, Shad or Brandon, whoever you want.
Shad, come on.